Hey everybody, it's Brandon Dockley, Delaware Weather Guy, and what this tutorial is going to be about is essentially how I make a basic forecast and my routine in the in the morning. Um, so I just want to go over some of the basic things and you know, some of the basic things probably your average meteorologist on TV does, and what your average geeky meteorologist does, like myself, on my end. Um, the first thing I do is I always go to weather.gov, our National Weather Service, because really this is almost like a one stop shop. You can almost get everything you need from this page. Okay. So I like to take a look at the national picture first and see some of the warnings up. These are probably heat warnings, wildfire warnings as well. Uh, it looks like heat, or and then looks like over in Illinois some severe thunderstorms. Some some orange here in our neck of the woods. Let's take a look at that. Yeah, some severe thunderstorms wow, are headed towards southern Dover and Ocean City and the beaches. So that actually brings me to my next thing is radar. To check out radar. Some days there's absolutely nothing going on, and then some days there are plenty of stuff going on. In this case, there is a lot going on weather-wise, so you could automatically you just know that there's a lot of energy in the atmosphere, and it's spreading from south to north, north to south. So it looks like there's going to be some heavy hitters going down in southern Delaware very soon. All right, so that takes me to my next thing, since I'm not really doing an update. um, Satellite. Satellite. I take a look at a couple of satellites, and if there's a lot of energy and activity going on, like we know that there's these cells down here show thunderstorm action. Um, these clouds that here show thunderstorm action, and there's some action going on here. All right, so that would lead me to going to um, this. Well, it would actually lead me to go to the infrared shortwave window, because then you take a look at how cold the cloud tops are, and that tells you if the thunderstorms are really really strong. And it looks like they're not really that strong. They're not that cold. They're somewhere in the negative 20 degrees Celsius range, which really isn't that severe. It would tell me that they're not real severe. They're just your average run of the mill. Uh, then I would take a look at the water vapor satellite, and they're pretty juicy. So they're not that strong, but they're juicy. So they're probably going to let go of that energy um, soon in those places. Okay. So that would be, and then, sorry, I want to take a look. I want to get to it. So from that point on, I would take a look at, your basic, um, you know, what's happening, the sort of the weather chart and what is NOAA predicting, weather wise. I also like to go to, not all the time, but this forecast discussion, and especially when there's real dangerous. weather coming or a big storm, I like to read this because it's written in language that at least I can understand it. Your average run of the mill person would not want to read this. Now, if you're going on TV and you are unsure about your forecast, you want to read this forecast discussion. And I have a feeling there's not a lot of meteorologists on TV that actually read this. If they actually read this, they would know more of what they are talking about because this is written by the guys up in at NOAA in the regional stations. So they're very detailed. Now you can't get that detailed on TV. You have what, a minute or two to give your weather report. Yeah. So you know. um, then I get like really into the data, and of course now this is showing what's going to be happening temperature wise throughout the day, your surface wind, your humidity, your precipitation potential, the sky cover. Now you see like, well, so and then it tells you, shows you. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. I mean, if you really can't read that or understand it, you probably not shouldn't be in meteorology. Um, okay, so that's pretty much the basics, and then then we start going to the models. Okay, so I go to the models and I flip through the time warp. This takes seems like it takes an hour to go through the loop. Okay, all right. So this is your basic look at the model runs, through the hours, and really any average person can. I mean, a person with absolutely no meteorological understanding can know what's going on here. All right, but the real expert chart I go to, and really I don't look at every chart, gang. I don't look at everything. I look at some basic one, two, three, and in and out. And I can tell what's going on immediately, unless it's something real big, specific, hurricane, winter storm. Um, I don't really get into reading many of the charts. I just look at a few and it tells me the whole story. Like, honestly, I could take a look at the 500 millibar chart and I can tell you right off the bat what's going on. Okay, let me be more specific with that. Oop. Red Paint. It's a really good app. Okay, so I could tell you what's going on. All right, we have a trough here that's coming in. That's going to touch off some thunder showers because there's another trough. There's another short wave. There's another. Here's another short wave. Anytime you see these little kinks in the 500 millibar look, those are, I mean, I call them kinks, but they're little short waves. I mean, there's a short wave. There's a short wave. I mean, there's short waves all over the place. That's why you always have a chance of scattered thunderstorms in the summer because you have all this shortwave energy running around. So this tells me that it's pretty that the it looks like a pretty high ridge, but it's pretty. It's not exactly intimidating looking at this. If this were a winter look, I'd be like, "Oh, this is interesting," but for summer, this is really nothing significant. I mean, you've got your typical ridging and your troughing, and it looks pretty standard to me. Super hot in the southwest and west. You got a 588 thickness, 591 down here in western Texas and southern New Mexico, and you know it's just ridiculously hot. Phoenix, there's no humidity, and this would tell me there's a ridge here in the east, and but it's not too. If it were more like that, it would be torridly hot in this area because that would be a ridge building from the southwest. This is a ridge building that's actually leaving because this trough is coming in, and this is what's touching off some of the showers and thunder showers in the area. So, right from just this one chart, I can tell you 10 things that are going on in the country and what the weather is like in those parts of the region of the United States. So that in general is what I do to make it to judge forecast. If it's marginal, if it's real marginal, and I'm like I need a bit, I need more data. I go to what's called the Moss data, and especially I use this more in the summer because this tells me. Um, okay, this tells me thunderstorm and severe weather potential, and it's actually really a good. Um, it's a really good predictor. So it looks like, and if I go down here to this T6, that means thunderstorm potential um, over the next 6 hours, and it tells me there's no chance between now and uh, 6 o'clock tonight, but between 6 and 10 o'clock tonight, and midnight. Well, let's say six and midnight. There's a 32% chance with 15% chance of it being severe. So that tells me, it tells me a lot. And this tells me too that in the next 12 hours, we're going to have a 58% chance of thunderstorms with 16 being severe. This is the number that kind of concerns me is 68% chance and 31% severe. And this would be for tomorrow, sometime tomorrow, probably tomorrow night. So tomorrow night looks a little iffy, and then it slowly goes down statistically from there. So that's it. I mean, uh, I don't really go through a lot of the, but I take my time to look at the data and to look at the graphical representations, and it tells me a lot what's going on. So that's pretty much how I put my forecast together. And if you ever need any advice or understanding, please let me know. It's Brandon Doherty, Delaware Weather Guy, saying adios.